The Prime Minister slamming rumors of tax increases, the National Security Ministry weighing in on the long lines of the Parliamentary Registration Department, and an update on that Jerome Avenue massacre in April. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tyler Simonet with your JCN News for this Tuesday, July 20th. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. Hubert Minnis slamming the opposition's recent claims that the Free National Movement government intends to raise taxes if they were to retain the government following the next general elections. The Ministry of Finance, releasing a statement, says the claims are false. The PM in that statement says it's a flat-out lie for the opposition leader to say that he, the Prime Minister, is planning on raising taxes immediately following any prospective election, adding that the government has recently articulated its Accelerate Bahamas plan during the budget, on the heels of the incredibly successful execution of the Resilient Bahamas plan during the last fiscal year. The PM says that Accelerate Bahamas plan transparently laid out tax plans and economic policies to boost entrepreneurship and job creation, adding that those tax plans were designed to stimulate economic growth in the Southern Islands and to ensure entrepreneurs get access to long-desired concessions. The statement continues, in keeping with our 3-year fiscal strategy, our targeted measures to generate new revenue are focused on compliance and collection of existing taxes and high-value niche industries that are now paying their fair share. Dr. Minnis adds that from January to June 2021, its revenue projections were beaten for that 6-month period, and for the month of July, up to last Friday, July 16th. Its revenues are tracking ahead of budgetary projections for month to date as the country's economy roars back to life. The PM says the government has a plan and is sticking to that plan. Health Minister Renwood Wells, the latest to chime in on issues coming out of the constituency's commission. You see, the main bone of contention was that Chairman Halton Motri is accused of being in breach of the Constitution by submitting a commission report to Governor-General Sir C.A. Smith with only his signature on Friday. But Mr. Motri suggested that persons on the government side did not want to sign off on the document until Parliament was dissolved. Well, in response, Minister Wells says, out of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Has anyone heard that from myself or the other member of the government on the commission side, who happens to be the Honorable Michael Pintard? No one seeks, this government has never been about, this leader of government business in the House of Assembly has never been about holding up any documents. We've always followed the requisite procedures to ensure that there is no conversation, no issues coming back after we would have proceeded in a constitutional process.
Minister Wells adds that commission members are still moving forward with submitting a formal communication to the Governor-General, urging him to reject the report submitted.
And it's interesting that the Speaker choose to identify the government members. You know, there's an opposition member as well. There's an opposition member as well who happens to agree. Why aren't folks asking him?
Now, in his statement, Mr. Motri said it would be most interesting to see the signatures on that letter. He says the sole purpose of the representative from the judiciary is to give legal and constitutional guidance to the commission, adding that this is why the representative is deputy chairman. Motri says the constitutional grounds submitted for the Governor-General's rejection would also be interesting. The National Security Ministry weighing in on the long lines at the Parliamentary Registration Department since claims of an early elections intensified over the weekend. The minister ensuring that the department has a plan in place amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's Luencia Smith with that report.
Whenever the general election is called, officials from the Parliamentary Registration Department will be ready. That's what the Minister of National Security, Marvin Daines, told reporters today, just before the weekly cabinet meeting, as rumors intensify about a possible snap elections. There has been reports of long lines at the Parliamentary Registration Department on Monday, following the opposition leader's remarks over the weekend that Parliament will dissolve sometime this week.
Well, I mean, we know that I think that there was some premature pronouncements made the day before. I believe that was responsible for triggering these large number of persons, and so they had to adjust. We did plan for social distancing, and we have teams in place to ensure that persons are adherent to the the order.
Last year, the Parliamentary Election Amendment Bill 2020 was passed, eliminating the 5-year register, making way for a continuous register of voters. Minister Dames did note that the long lines are a good sign that persons will take part in the election process, which is good for any democracy.
We know the job we have ahead of us, and we have been planning and preparing, and I've been meeting on a weekly basis, sometimes a few times a week, with the Parliamentary Commissioner, because we want to ensure that these are the best executed elections in our history. And given the changes and the amendments to the legislation, we have to prepare accordingly.
Now, the minister says that the department is working to ensure that there is a smooth process when it comes to advance polls to avoid any chaos when it comes to advance voting.
And the task this time around is far greater. As I said earlier, in 2017 we had in excess of 3,000 persons participating in an advance poll, but due to the amendments in the Act, where we have senior citizens participating as well, we can expect to see anywhere close to 40,000.
National Security Minister says that the electronic platform will not be ready for this current election cycle. However, he says that this election will be one that is secure and safe amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Laurencia Smith for Jcn News.
Police giving an update on that Jerome Avenue massacre that occurred on April 15th this year. It was on that day that 6 men were shot dead, while a woman and a 2-year-old child were injured but survived. Press Liaison Officer Assistant Superintendent of Police Ollie Peters says that the matter is still being investigated, and he's advised that the reason for this process is because of the importance of evidence and how it has to be correlated for conviction.
What we have to do is do our due diligence. We have to be purposeful, we have to be principled, and then we'll do in due course, someone will be brought, or the persons rather, will be brought before the courts.
You do have suspects in mind?
Well, definitely we do, but you have to have the evidence that would convict, not simply to cast aspersions. We want a conviction in these matters.
Police, following the incident, said the men were traveling on Jerome Avenue in a Honda Inspire when 4 men dressed in black exited a white Kia Sportage and opened fire on them. 2 of the suspects were armed with high-powered assault rifles, and the other 2 were armed with pistols. The victims identified in the shooting were Delano Smith, 34, of Kemp Road, Kendall Lord, 31, of White's Addition, Renato Bastian, 31, Maurice Pinder, 21, Darnario Saunders, 27, and Travis Latario, 26. Investigation into one of the worst massacres in Bahamian history continues. In our national COVID-19 update, a number of persons affected with coronavirus are in the fight for their lives in the intensive care units. Health officials confirming that out of 81 hospitalizations, a total of 12 cases are in intensive care, 9 at Doctors Hospital, 1 at Princess Margaret Hospital, and 2 at the Grand Bahama Health Services. 69 others are considered moderately ill. The Ministry of Health also confirming another unfortunate death. A 76-year-old female of New Providence lost her battle with the deadly virus on July 18th. Her death brings the country's COVID-19 death toll to 274. 22 deaths still remain under investigation. Meantime, COVID-19 infections have also increased. Following 174 tests completed for Sunday, July 18th, 38 cases were confirmed by health officials. 33 here in the capital, 6 with a history of travel within 14 days, 3 on Grand Bahama, and 1 case each on Eleuthera and Exuma. Total cases in country now at 13,604. However, 1,133 cases are active. 4 cases recovered on Sunday, pushing total recoveries to 12,112. You're watching Jcn News. Stay with us.